So central bank reports GDP contracted by 2.1%. On the earn it, yeah. So according to the central bank, in its September monetary policy announcement, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago indicated that real gross domestic products contracted by 2.1% during the first quarter of 2025. This is according to the Central Statistical Office, that is real hard to say, compared to the same period of 2024. I wanted to get the clip, come back, of the Dwen saying that our economy is booming. I really wanted to get that clip where Dwen Burt said that the economy is booming. And Madam Speaker, consistently, the economy is booming, Madam Speaker, despite the IMF reports on Trinidad and Tobago. So, the central bank indicated that there were declines in both the energy and non-energy sector of run the videos, of 4.8% and 1.0% respectively. But it is the PNM via Stuart Young that want to come and say that what Kamala, in pictures it should be there, Kamala doing with the UAE, okay, not there, but what Kamala doing with the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, and signing gas deals, claim sake, is PNM set it up. But if it is PNM set it up, let me ask Stuart Young, why is it the central bank is saying that there were declines in both the energy and non-energy sector of 4.8% and 1.0% or 1% respectively? And then preliminary data from the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries, which is obviously pre-budget data, suggests mixed performance heading into the second quarter of 2025. The report stated in April of 2025, natural gas production fell, not rose, that's Stuart Young, it fell by 2.1% with crude oil production registered a small increase of 0.3%. The petrochemical industry, according to the central bank, recorded expansions in ammonia of 6.9% and urea of 26.7%, but there was a noticeable decline in methanol output of minus 28.1%. The next monetary policy is scheduled to be released in on December 31st, 2025. But if it is, again, help me understand this, huh? If Colum and Burt, or Dwen Burt, or they in Riot Yet Burt, saying that Trinidad and Tobago recorded booms and surpluses, how do I not hear? How do I not hear? How is it not stipulated here in this quarterly report by the central bank? Is it that the central bank under its former regime was lying to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and every single time Colum Imbid registered a boom and a surplus, it was a lie? Is it that it had political biasness with the central bank and how they read reports to the people of Trinidad and Tobago? Is that so? Because now, under a new administration, you're telling me that Kamala here for 4 or 5 months, going on to 5 months, right? And suddenly we register contracted GDP by a significant 2.1% in its first quarter of 2025, which would be directly a fallout from the PNM. Because you have the other papers, Colum and Burt. Look at that. Yeah, no. In this. Because it is Colum and Burt that now saying to the people of Trinidad and Tobago that Trinidad and Tobago is going to see a $15 billion deficit. If Colum and Burt is projecting a $15 billion deficit, what they do to this economy? What PNM did to this economy? That's a real question. Because they are the ones, Trinidad and Tobago, that continued or extended contracts just days before the election. How much more of that happening? They did it for CPEP. They did it for URP, extended contracts. They did it for Foster Cummins, where Foster saw significant increases, and he got an extended contract, allegedly, just days before the 2025 election, April 2025. How is it, though, that if it is, our GDP is contracted, how and why is it Keith Christopher Rowley, former Prime Minister, goes to the Parliament and expand their pay in terms of their pension? How that possible? How is it possible that they go to the Parliament, slash all sorts of things out of the procurement legislation to allow for government spending of how much ever they want? How is it that we even building a central block or a block D of the Port of Spain Hospital for almost $1 billion? If it is that we have no money, is this man? A $15 billion deficit is the story here by the former, or not former, the Diego Martin, Northeast MP and former Finance Minister, Colin Burt. And he's the deputy political leader of the PNM, which tells me that Penelope Beckles really, she's not really fostering any type of change, right? So it is PNM deputy political leader and former finance minister Colin Burt, he stated that information is reaching him suggesting that the 2025-2026 budget would see a deficit of $15 billion, the largest in the country's history. Burt warned that it is he warned if his figure is correct, it would spell disaster for the economy. He said, quote, "I'm hearing it's 15 billion, could be 20 billion. If it is, or if it's in that range, it means that our debt is going to skyrocket. It is not good for us, but I thought they had the answer and they are going to balance the budget. So I'll wait to see. Maybe that's a rumor." This is hogwash, because you can't expect that the UNC now coming into power after 10 years and you telling us that, quote, you thought they had all the answer in terms of the UNC had all of the answers in balancing the budget when you mess it up so much. When you spent billions of dollars and borrowed billions of dollars, China borrowing, the billions from China for COVID, you borrowed billions of dollars. This one is a good story. Don't mess me up here. This is actually under us. We're going with this director. But this story, Embert, don't forget this. You borrowed $1.4 billion from China, talking about it have fewer conditions, as opposed to going to Washington, D.C., the United States. You did that. So when GDP contracts, maybe it is Trinidad and Tobago that the central bank wasn't always telling us the truth. And we did not know the full truth. We knew that the economy was bad. Everybody could have told you the economy was bad. Doubles went up. Unfortunately, that is how Trinidadians does base it, right? Doubles went up under the PNM. Flour went up under the PNM. Rockhard left Trinidad and Tobago. Man, Uber smelled the coffee as soon as I come in, and Uber say, yeah, I gone. Since when, 2014? No, 2016 around there. 2015, 16 around there, Uber left, or 2017. Like, these people smell the coffee and they smell the rat. And PNM, Column and Burt, they messed up this economy badly. But you're talking about Kamala have the plan. And Imbert said, quote, "I thought they had all the answers and they were going to balance the budget." Don't worry, Trinidad and Tobago. Don't worry. Don't worry too much. Because in everything bad, which is this, in everything bad, there will be some good. There will be semblance of good in everything bad. And yes, Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the United National Congress needs to balance the budget. And they said, quote, there will be some good things coming out of the budget. Dave Tanku stated to the people that some people are going to like it, some people not going to like it. You'd have people that like him, have people that don't like him. On both sides, I think it's only fair that you're going to have the both. But in order for this budget to be balanced properly, the country needs to diversify badly. And it is only under Kamla Persad-Bissessar. And take a major look at the trend right now. Kamla Persad-Bissessar is significantly pushing diversification for Trinidad and Tobago. Now, while we cannot completely move away from oil and gas and our natural reserves, Kamla Persad-Bissessar in the parliament recently did expand the pool of diversification for Trinidad and Tobago through sports. There's a major field to tap into when it comes to sport tourism in Trinidad and Tobago. Not only that, but Kamla Persad-Bissessar in her trip, which is why the UN trip is so significant right now, because a former prime minister will go to the UN, fly out, go to Ghana to walk Obe and then bring in yam for Trinidad and Tobago. This prime minister is going to the UN to bring in goodies in terms of not only diplomatic relations, but also monetary donations, or let me not just call it donations, but monetary progress or economical progress for Trinidad and Tobago. And Kamla Persad-Bissessar spoke about medical tourism as well. It is still one of her mandates, which is why she is significantly adamant about reopening, not only just reopening, but enhancing the Coover Children's Hospital and bringing it back to what it's supposed to be for medical tourism in Trinidad and Tobago, which should and could and would bring in foreign exchange. Not only that, but education is a major aspect for Kamla Persad-Bissessar, because it's not just about balancing the budget today, but balancing the budget for the future. If Trinidad and Tobago is to continue along the chain that we're going now with the consistent borrowing, case in point, we have to pay back that $1.4 billion. How are we going to do that? It is not going to be done under the Kamla-led administration now. It is going to be done under future administrations. We cannot continue the way that we are. If we were under PNM, those schools would still be left unbuilt. Here's the tough thing, or the tough pill to swallow. Here is the tough pill to swallow by the Kamla Persad, or for Kamla Persad-Bissessar and that administration and the UNC administration. Not only do they have to balance, if it is, Colin, it is correct, and the country really foreseeing a $15 billion budget, Kamla Persad-Bissessar's job becomes harder for her, and to leave behind a legacy. The legacy is on the line right now. Because not only do you have to look at education and really enhance education for all across Trinidad and Tobago in terms of school development, sports development for Trinidad and Tobago, cultural development for Trinidad and Tobago, but you also have to really balance the budget for this generation here. And you really need to provide goodies for the people right now, because 2030, the people might say, Trinidadians real short-sighted. So we will say, or they would say, to hell with UNC. All they can't do, all they say, what all they're going to do, despite the government doing all for Trinidad and Tobago right now. The first thing that Kamla Persad-Bissessar did when she came into office, not only was it, well, you know, change the Pension Act for the Prime Minister, but the first substantial law was the Constitutional Amendment Bill, which seek to expand the pool of talent again to allow for sport tourism in Trinidad and Tobago, which will better enhance not only CPL, but also football, and allow for more people to come to Trinidad and Tobago and participate in our sports and global sports and represent Trinidad and Tobago. We have a whole cycling ring. We have traveling. We birthed real talented people from Trinidad and Tobago, and under PNM for the past 10 years, they have squandered that even in the educational sector. We are only Burton criminals and ISIS members in the regards to Umar Abdullah. Forgive me, Umar, but you know it's true. All right, going across to ISIS to fight war. That's it. That's what we have birthed in Trinidad and Tobago in the last decade, 20 years, and that's all Trinidad and Tobago really birthing. Now that we have Kyron, Dwayne on the way out. Well, no, not Dwayne. Kishon on his way out, right? Some persons are on the way out and we have nothing to offer the next generation. Who we offering the next generation? What are we offering them? Tell young people here today in this studio, what are we offering them? Me? I could play sports. No, but seriously, what are we offering the next generation? If y'all were to look for yourselves right now and say, this is what I could live or look forward to in Trinidad and Tobago, you seen anything? One say no and she knew. You seen something, because you could fly out. But I can't see anything. Even content creators,